All right. So it's been a while since I've recorded the video. It's because I have a job. I do have a job at a hotel, and that's the extent I'm going to explain things. Because obviously, you have to be careful. Maybe I've revealed too much, but I'm going to try to be better at OPSEC. I haven't been the best at that, but anywho. So there will be less videos. Hopefully, these will be a little bit higher quality than normal. But what is happening in Miami? And let's talk about loyalty. There is a lot of mystery about who is alive and who isn't alive. 55, let me make sure I was reading this right. Yeah, 55 apartments have collapsed. Now, this was 2 days ago. Hundreds of people are trapped in the rubble. Not much has been said. There have been assumptions, there have been, promises, but it's very, very frustrating. Now, it's not surprising. It's not surprising at all, but it's Miami. So, obviously, I'm going to use something from Seinfeld. Maybe that would be a little bit less cringe, but, it should just be, the state of California should be a steering wheel with two knuckles on the side of it, Basically, what he's implying is a lot of old Hebraic people live in Miami and in Florida and all, but especially in, nice in bigger cities like Tallahassee and Miami to retire, even though you do have, the Florida man and all that business. But, the thing is that because of this concentration of Hebraic people, Israel is going to be sending rescuers, or they have already sent rescuers to Miami. Now, people go back and forth. People go back and forth and say that Israel is a colony of the United States. Just one moment. They say Israel is a colony of the United States. And, everything that Israel does is in benefit of the UK and the US. Now, I would disagree with this wholeheartedly, I would say. Why do I disagree with this? Well, I would say this. I would start with agreement and say yes. The UK had a definite interest in, the Balfour Declaration and indeed fomenting what occurs today. Absolutely. But we have to remember is that, whether you want to say, oh, well, it's the British's fault for not telling anybody about the King David Hotel bombing, or the fact that you had the Sergeant's Affair where 3 Irgun fighters were captured and hung, and in response, 2 British sergeants were captured and were hung, and then were placed in a eucalyptus grove where their bodies were booby-trapped. And there are many, many other incidents that occurred against the British forces. Feel as you want to about the British, like I say. Dab on the Anglos all day. This feeds into the idea of conspiracy theory, where it's just like, well, just because their troops got killed, like I said, I don't see it as that simple. But take it for what it is. The thing is that because there is a portion of those that are in the rubble who are Hebraic that it's okay for the nation of Israel to send their own rescuers to the United States. When does this get to happen? Like I said, if there were Canadians and Americans are pretty much the same thing, I would argue, but I was going to say, would Germany do that? If there was a crash in the United States and it was mostly Germans, would the Germans be allowed to come in and say, oh, yes, we are taking over this investigation. Niemals los weiter Arschloch. We are taking over this investigation. I mean, they wouldn't, but they wouldn't do that. If it was, if it was Chinese, well, I was going to say Chinese have a fair amount of sway, but I don't think they would be allowed to come into this country and be allowed to send their own investigators. But it goes to show, you can go ahead and say Israel is a colony of the U.S. all day and whatnot, but it's like, I don't recall, maybe you can correct me where I'm wrong, but I don't recall any direct U.S. military bases in Israel. I don't recall that. Yeah, there is an embassy, but there are no direct bases. Let me check here. Are there U.S. bases in Israel? Okay, here we go. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. Here. There are currently only active foreign military installation on Israeli soil and TPY-2 early missile warning radar on Mount Keren. Ironic. Keren. Also known as the Dimona Radar Facility. Really? So to be fair, it makes so little sense when people say that type of stuff. Could you make the argument, oh, well, the U.S. or Israel has benefited from the U.S. and U.K.'s intervention at times? Yeah. But to say that they, like I say, I personally think this, and people have called me a Zionist because I said it this way, but I do think that Israel will find a way to exist. I don't even say that as a Zionist. I say it as a pragmatist. To say, yeah, Israel's not going away. Nobody has the force to take out Israel. The only ones who can take out Israel are Israel. The only ones to take out Israel are Israelis. And I think that Israel is doing a fine enough job with that as it is, with the high acceptance of the LGBTQ community in Israel, which is one of the only reasons why people really support Israel, where all the gay community will absolutely support Israel no matter what. They can do what they want to, Arabs all day and the Palestinians, they don't care, generally speaking. But when it comes to, their gay rights and everything else like that, so they can be able to do all the freaky deaky shit that they do in Tel Aviv every year, every Pride Month, I guess that's not a problem. But once you get that more into your culture, things start to break down, right? That's why you had people like Meir Kahane who said, you cannot have a Jewish state and democracy. And it's true. I've repeated this over and over, but it's true. And there have been like I said, this is why Naftali Bennett was elected, because he was seen as a centrist and that he was able to keep enough people happy. Naftali Bennett is considered far right in many circles. He's considered somebody, though, who will give lip service to the religious Zionists out there. He can give enough lip service to atheistic Zionism. And he can give enough lip service to the idea of, we're not going to, like I said, the bigger powers in Israel support him. Now, of course, they can say, oh, he's awful, this and that. But the thing is, though, is that generally speaking, if you're looking at big picture, he's relatively accepted. But anywho, it is a tragedy. Like I said, I do want to say that. I don't want to be a completely edgy bro here, but it is awful what has occurred in Miami. And we're not going to get answers for years. I'm sure that the truthers are out there talking about what has happened in Miami. I'm sure that they have, there's some sort of information that's out there that we don't know about that they have revealed. I'm not going to look for it right now, but just know that I'm sure that people have figured it out. Anywho, I think that's all I have to say on that one. I hope y'all enjoy the video. So see you later, and goodbye.